Alrighty, good morning, Superkickin' with Stephen Fans, your favorite host right here, Stephen A1181. Putting out the bat signal for Greg to join us as soon as he can. Haven't heard from him this morning, so he was on a lot of flights, I think, throughout the week. So maybe just kind of got lost in the alarm clock setting and all that fun stuff. But we will have Greg join us as soon as he can, And we're going to start right away, kind of get you started with AEW Revolution talk. That is happening tonight on pay-per-view. Bleacher Report, you can find it there on all your usual traditional pay-per-view outlets. A lot of matches here scheduled. So, they got the kickoff match. You have um, uh, the whatever they are, the one team with Briscoe and the Lucha Bros, and they'll probably end up winning. So I realize this is very tiny, so hopefully we can make this a little bit bigger for myself. There we go. All right. We do have the 0 hour match, Varsity Athletes and Davari against Mark Briscoe and Lucha Bros. So that'll kick off the event at 7. Then our main card, we got, some pretty solid matches happening tonight. Revolution is kind of that, good start to the season for WWE or for AEW. Let's go with the final burial match. I think this should be all Jack Perry. Finally end this stuff with Christian Cage. Literally bury the feud and move on. So I think all parties need to move on from this match. In fact, everyone's banned from ringside. This is Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks. I'd love to see Ricky Starks pick up the win. I think he needs it. Kind of show that he can do this. Does it look better if he beats him with everybody there? Probably, but this is one of those. I think this should be the evening of a lot of up and coming guys. I believe so. Ricky Starks should pick up the win here. How about the AEW World Tag Team Championship? We have the Gun Club in there. We got the Acclaimed in there. We have Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. And we have Danhausen and Orange Cassidy. Probably the most random, assortment of talent we've had in the World Tag Team Championship for AEW. All teams have kind of, we know the Gun Club, the Acclaim, it's kind of been their show. So I'm guessing it's coming down to them. Do you maybe put it on Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal just for S's and G's? I hope not. But I could see them sneaking out a win somehow. But I'm going to call officially the Gun Club to retain and kind of move along from here. So the Guns pick up the win here. The World Championship for the women's side of things, we have Jamie Hayter, we have Ruby Soho, and we have Saraya. This one, I think I'm going to call Saraya. I know Jamie's getting over at Gangbusters, but I think Saraya and Tony Storm need something more besides just, spray painting as heels. So maybe some stealing a win from Ruby Soho or, some shenanigans to get Saraya the tag or to get her the world championship, I think would say something and let her, kind of run things as a heel and see where she can go with Tony Storm. They probably need an extra hand as well because I feel like we're always doing kind of trios people, but I like to see Saraya pick up the win here. Samoa Joe and Wardlow. Is this, kind of the start back of Wardlow, getting back in the good graces of AEW? We'll have to see because it's funny to think of where all his momentum was. The crowd was loving him. There was, it was his TNT title to lose essentially. And then he gets it, MJF stuff happens. I feel like it just never clicked after that. And, things were kind of, running off the rails for him. So I don't think he wins it, but I think, putting up a good showing could start back on the right page for him. So then also we have next up the Trios Championship. This one, I think I'm going to call for a title change as this one as well. House of Black, have done so much, just under the radar stuff. It's probably finally time for them to move up the card and to get something more. So I think, I'm going to call for the House of Black to beat the Elite, for those World Trio Championship. Maybe, Julia Hart plays a part or, something happens in the middle. The lights go out and, they're able to take him out, something like that. So Texas Death Match, we have John Moxley, Hangman Adam Page. I think this is another one, is this maybe a a path back for Hangman Page to kind of get going, on the right side of things. This feels like it could be a good de facto number one contender match as well. Whoever comes out on top here ends up in the, title picture after this match. So I'm going to say Hangman Adam Page picks up the win here. I think Hangman will get going and, kind of get the win here, and we'll be off and running maybe on an MJF Hangman Adam Page feud for, leading into Double or Nothing or something like, or, maybe a little bit sooner, but we'll kind of see where that goes. MJF, Bryan Danielson, 60-minute Iron Man match. The 60-minute Iron Man matches are hard because there are those lulls, especially if you're kind of booking this as a wrestling style match, where Bryan Danielson is going to do all he can, to out wrestle MJF. So you wonder what kind of shenanigans will happen to get MJF a couple pins here. This is, obviously all for MJF to kind of build his build his name, build his legacy as world champion. So he will retain. That's what I'm calling for right now. But I do think, could they, swerve us and give Bryan Danielson the win and let him carry the torch for some time? That's perfectly, acceptable as well. So I think MJF picks up the win, though, and we'll kind of see, if this match kind of lives up to the hype of what it could be. So checking back with Greg, haven't really seen anything from him yet. So we'll take a quick commercial break and kind of get into Raw talk and NXT talk and SmackDown talk, and then we'll probably wrap up the show since we got our AW talk here. So let's do a quick commercial break. Hopefully Greg can kind of join us soon, and he can give us all his winners as he makes his way on the show. Get into some Raw talk here. Raw kicked off with Jimmy Uso and Solo kind of, leading the way, defeating the Street Profits. We're still kind of building up the Sami Zayn stuff with them. That happened, carried over to SmackDown as well. WrestleMania is a good time that we carry a lot of storylines over both sides of things. I am curious after WrestleMania, if we do a draft, if we do keep Raw again as Raw's, roster and SmackDown as its own. But yeah, we'll kind of see where things go after that. How about Brock Lesnar, agreeing to battle Omos? We have, the good little battle with MVP back and forth and celebrating it, takes out MVP. It sounds like Brock Lesnar possibly turned down a match with Bray Wyatt. Is that telling for Bray Wyatt? I kind of think so. If Brock Lesnar doesn't want to work with him, I mean, maybe not a, knock on Bray Wyatt necessarily. Maybe just Brock want to pick the battles he wants to, but I kind of wonder about that. So, but Brock Lesnar almost will be at WrestleMania. We'll see if Brock can hit some suplexes on him. It should be interesting to see if he can hit that F5 on Omos and kind of get things going there. So, Cody Rhodes, a guy who wanted to work with Chad Gable, got to do it. Takes out Chad Gable in a really fantastic match. I thought Chad Gable came out looking awesome. Gable just continues to be so, underrated on the roster and doing a lot of good work and sticking around and doing what he can. So Asuka picks up a win over Carmella, so we're still bending up Asuka and Bianca Belair. I'm still wondering if Alexa Bliss finds her way. We haven't seen her back on TV in a little bit, so maybe Alexa's not doing anything for WrestleMania. But I think that would be a wasted effort, as far as where Alexa Bliss was headed. So hopefully that kind of changes things. Candice LeRae defeated Piper Niven. Good win for Candice, and we're still figure out the Nikki stuff. She was saying she misses her friends. Some people took that as, maybe Sanity members start coming back to the fold, and that kind of gets her back into her crazy Nikki role, Sanity Nikki role, and see where that could go. So it's official as well that Seth Rollins will take on Logan Paul. I am curious how much of the real beef is there. Seth is making a good way of blurring those lines, but I think they'll both work well together. You have the Miz hosting WrestleMania. Does the Miz get involved with this? Maybe somehow, just kind of playing up with his partnership with the Logan Paul. Obviously, Logan Paul has shifted back to the heel side, so him and Miz maybe getting back together could really do something there. So, Bobby Lashley got defeated Elias, and then gets a little Bray Wyatt treatment where Bray Wyatt is husky, hair's light, just showing that he can work out. He's Muscle Man Bray and doing all that stuff. So we're continuing that, and we'll see. I'm thinking you'll need to do some sort of gimmicky match for them. I don't know if you do a Firefly Funhouse type deal, because I think the Cena one was so good that would be hard to replicate, but we could see something there with Bray, with Bobby Lashley doing some sort of lights out type style match. So Johnny Gargano picks up a win. You had Maximum Male Model still going after Otis. So good little side, story there that probably could, it probably won't make the WrestleMania card. It sounds like we're doing a thinner WrestleMania card. So this is one of those times that you would think this would come on there, but I feel like we'll just kind of, keep things going off after WrestleMania for Gargano and Otis and the Maximum Male Models and Dexter Loomis. And then finally, who would have called a Becky Lynch tag team title win with Lita? That was, pretty surprising. But Trish is out there, so I'm gonna assume we're splitting off. So we'll probably have Becky and Lita versus Ronda and Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania. Maybe you throw Damage Control in there as well as like a three woman tag team match, and then Bailey and Trish 1-on-1. I think that's the best way to go there. So, Bailey could get a good win over Trish Stratus at WrestleMania. I think that would be awesome to see. And then we'll let, probably Ronda and Shayna end up getting those tag team titles. I think this is just a way to carry the tag team titles into WrestleMania for Lita and Becky Lynch, but, we're not going to see Lita as a full-time performer. So, and Becky Lynch was shown off the title there at the Nickelodeon Choice Awards, Nick's Kids Awards last night. So cool to see that. Some NXT stuff. We're heading into Roadblock, which is next week. We got Wes Lee defeating Nathan Frazier. Good little segment to start the night with everybody just running to the ring trying to get the title, open contendership, and Nathan Frazier ends up getting it. So Wesley and him kind of get a little handshake, and we're off and running for whoever's next for Wesley. So in this year, beat Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. We're still wondering who the third person could be for the Creed brothers. Damian Kemp came out there and tried to put his name in, but we've already seen that before, so it should be interesting to see who they call up to kind of do that. Miko Satomura on NXT TV. Who would have ever thought? This is a Japanese legend in the women's ranks, and she's going to go against Roxanne Perez next week, so that should be fun to watch. Sol Ruka picked up a big win over Elektra Lopez. Tiffany Stratton, it looks like she could be the next contender. I'm still thinking you do Cora Jade and Roxanne at Stand and Deliver, especially if we're doing Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker at Stand and Deliver. So Tiffany Stratton picks up a big win. Axon picks up a win over Hank Walker, still kind of building that up. But Hank Walker, now at least he has wrestling gear. I'm guessing eventually soon he'll start picking up wins, start showing what he can do more. besides this kind of bodyguard type guy. So, and Carmelo Hayes and Tyler Bate picked up, a great, fantastic main event. Carmelo Hayes ends up with the win there. So we got Carmelo Hayes off and running towards his title match against Braun Breaker at Stand and Deliver. How about some of the stuff that happened on SmackDown? We saw Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes finally come one-on-one. I would like to see them bring up the Shield and, the Stardust stuff, but we already kind of moved past that. I've seen some people say we need to move past the Dusty Rhodes stuff, but that's the whole storyline, for Cody. That's the finished story stuff. So I don't think we're going to get away from that until the story's finished. So I'm fine with it. I thought, Roman delivered some quite the low blows, to Cody Rhodes, saying, hey, when I talked to Dusty, he talked about Seth, he talked about Becky, he talked about Bailey. Funny enough, he didn't talk about you. I mean, that's, and then he's saying the very end or towards the end, he's like, hey, Dusty couldn't teach you. If whatever Dusty couldn't teach you, I'll teach you. And that got the crowd ooh and on. So that was, quite the interesting kind of dig at Cody Rhodes to really get the spine tingling. So Liv Morgan, ate the pin against Rhea Ripley. We also had Rhea Ripley take out Santos Escobar to give Dominic Mysterio the win. I'm still questioning, do we see Dominic and Rey? I mean, we have to, right? We have to do Dominic and Rey at WrestleMania. Even though Rey wants it as his last match ever, I mean, there's just, you can't deny it now. So you got to do it. Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, LA Knight, Kofi Kingston, Karrion Kross will do a match next week. I mean, any one of those guys could face, Gunther at WrestleMania. I mean, I would like to see Drew and Sheamus and Gunther, for the Hoss fight at WrestleMania, and then Sheamus possibly pick up the win. But man, LA Knight's getting some good reactions, and I hope Triple H is seeing that, and that that could bode well for come Money in the Bank, because I think LA Knight would be a good Money in the Bank content holder as he kind of builds his name up. So Shayna Baszler defeated Tegan Knox. Lashley, came to SmackDown to kind of, confront Bray Wyatt, gets taken out, and then takes him out back. So we're just kind of seeing things go there. And Solo Sikoa keeps picking up wins. He's just, he's slowly building up his name as he defeats Sami Zayn. I mean, it's still got to be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens against Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso. Kind of let that play out as far as that goes. So that's really all I had as far as, those things were concerned. We'll get back to everything next week. Kind of get in touch with Greg. Sorry for the short business today, but we'll kind of leave it there. And if Greg can show up, we'll get you his quick and dirty predictions in the chat for Superkickin with Steven. Join our Facebook page. And we'll get some thoughts going tonight about AEW Revolution. So thank you for watching, and talk to you guys next week.